Hi, everyone. So we're going to take a look at some of the maintenance and client support, and we're going to look at it from the perspective of anyone who's helping to support families, students, and even from the parents' role of being the instructor for their student. So one of the things that we'll do is we'll first just go ahead and log into our dashboard for Edmentum. The credentials are all the same. So when you first come on to the dashboard, you're automatically going to see the alerts page. This is just a basic summary of what's going on with the student. It could be a quick overview. It may not have, it might be a message from your student. It may be information just telling you that your student scored a passing score on an activity. There's really not a lot of information here. So what we like to do is come to our courseware section. Every family enrolled in the program will have a different one. So it will be sample. There'll be a list of programs available here. So we'll look at our sample program. You'll select the particular family that you're looking for. The parents, on the other hand, will only see just their families. The back end of things will be from you, the instructor, and the parent will see just their family. When they get to this page, you'll have my courses, my classrooms, my students, my activities. This is what the parent will see. They're able to get a bird's eye view of everything that's happening. So if their student is struggling in a particular area, they're able to see if they have students that or are behind, slightly off pace, on pace, or ahead of pace. They're able to see any assignments that may be locked and the student didn't pass a mastery test and they need this assignment to be unlocked. And they're also able to see if there's any assignments that need to be graded, which is really great. Up at the top, you're also able to look at each student individually and the courses that they're taking under My Students. So the parent will be able to say, oh, okay, I have two of my students. I can look at them individually and see how they're doing. Um, I can also click on their courses directly and work within each one of them. You also have a tab called My Active Task. And that way, if a student has any assignment that needs to be graded, you can just click here and then it'll automatically show you the assignment that needs to be graded. So let's take a look at our active sections that we're currently working on. So let's look at English 6 Semester A. Here we're able to first just see that we are able to have quick reports. We're able to look at our grade book, and we're also able to view the specific curriculum. So first, let's just look at our grade book. What is great about this is as the instructor, you're able to move through and adjust the categories and the weights. So if you do not want everything weighted the same, maybe you want your modules different than your discussions and your post-test and end of semester tests, you can change these weights around and you can also have non-weighting. Another thing that you're able to do is to determine the grading scales. This way you can decide if you want your A to start at what percentage. You're able to click on load account scales. You can have some advanced letter grades if you want to change in the margin of the what a student needs to get in order to get an A and what that looks like. And then you also can take it to a pass fail. Pass starts at 70%, fail starts at 0%. It's possible you might have heard me say 80%. It just depends on what the parent decides. So you can change this on your own as the instructor or anyone managing the account. If a student is receiving credits, you're able to assign a credit for each one of these particular classes, 0.5, 1 credit. Just remember, homeschooling students, if they're ever looking to go back to traditional school, they usually have the ability to accept the credit or not. but it is definitely up to each school district individually. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a look at one of our students. Let's click on My Students. We're gonna go ahead and scroll down to our sample student. Let's start off by looking at the bottom of that sample student. You're able to send that student a quick message. Say, for instance, you want to say, hey, I noticed that you're falling behind. You can send them a message right here, and it's going to appear in the dashboard for the student. And for you, it's going to appear up at the top right corner when they respond back. You're also able to reset their password because we all know sometimes people forget their passwords. And then you're able to look at the reports. This is a great way to stay on top of how your student is doing. The course progress report shows how they're doing in each subject, and how they're actively enrolled in. So the course grade is the average, that you'll see all of those. The learner daily usage report, it shows how much time a student is spending on their course. You get minute by minute. Did that student actually come onto that class? How much time did they spend on their test? Time on task is a part of that report. It's one thing for a student to be logged in. It's very different if that student is actually on task. And the system will actually monitor that. And last but not least is the learner progress. And this shows all completed activities, attempts, and mastery tests. So these three reports are very, very helpful. And again, if you're not familiar, the student also has access to their course progress report on their dashboard. So let's take a look at our students' English 6. If you take a look at these three dots on the side, you are also, when the student is done, able to complete a student. That takes that student's course and it removes it from their dashboard. This just helps to decrease a lot of the clutter that the students has. Some students get a little anxious when they see all of their courses. Another thing is, because we're able to front load and upload all of their courses for the year, we can change and move the start and end dates. So for instance, we want them to work on semester A for the first um, part of the year, and then we want them to get semester B. We can actually put these end and start dates in here, but that also does it calculates how fast this little man is moving. It will tell us if that student is on pace to complete the activity and complete all of the assignments by the end of their end date. The beautiful thing is you can hide these target dates from the student if that's necessary. Some students also do not want to see what their end date is. They just want to have the pacing and they just want to move forward with things. So we're going to take a look at the two styles of courses. As you can see, this student has an Apex course, and this one that says Edmentum is called a Plato course. Apex courses are generally middle and high school courses, but they're usually middle school. They're broken into units. The audio is a little bit more robotic, and they usually have more activities available, but they do not provide a pretest. These Edmentum courses are broken into units and also include a pretest. If the student passes the pretest, they're able to exempt from the remaining lesson in that unit. And just the good thing is the audio is more of a human voice. When we're looking at Unit 6 from the teacher perspective, right at the top of the Apex course and all of the courses we are on Courseware, you'll see this bird's eye view of how that student is doing. You'll see how much time on task that they've spent, how many tries they've had, when that course is planning to end, if the student is off pace. You also can see that we have curriculum details and this weekly progress. Weekly progress is another way of just capturing information. seeing how the student is doing and what they've accomplished during the week. This tells me specifically, oh, this is what this child did. They've only completed 5 activities this week, and they've only been in the system for 6 minutes and 19 seconds. When we look at the curriculum detail, we'll see that each course has a syllabus. You can take the syllabus, download it, and print it. You also are able to find that every unit has an overview. If you click on the overview, it'll open up into a new tab. Let's look at the overview for this particular unit activity. So we'll click on this unit overview. In a lesson overview, you're able to find that there are key terms. When you click on the key terms, they are going to come up and they are hyperlinked to that definition. Definitely very helpful for students to either write their key terms down, put them in some type of folder or notebook. I do know that these are things that will come back at the end for their mastery test. The study section is essentially the lesson for each unit. You're going to have students work through, as you see, there's a total of 13 slides. Prior to them doing that, you want them to pull up the study guide. As the instructor, you have the answers to the study guide. The students do not have this on their dashboard. Most core courses have study guides, English, math, science, and social studies. Some of the electives will have them. So what I want to do is I want to look at kind of shaping the student's courseware experience. If you look to the right of each of the unit, if you just start off at the top of the unit, there's these 3 dots for every single activity. So you can omit an entire unit, you can exempt a student from an entire unit, and this little E will show up. And the only time I think you should exempt a student is when you know for sure that that student understands all of the material in this unit. You also can hide the information from that student. So what happens is, say you do not want the student to work on plot and conflict first, and you want them to come down and work on characters and point of view. You can go ahead in the system and hide all of this information. When you hide the information, it allows your student to only see certain sections. Um, this is beneficial for students if they are easily overwhelmed, but just know that hiding this does not take the grade away. Just know that if you hide something, the score will still be counted. So you don't want to complete a student and you have an entire section hidden, because then that means they have zeros in that section. You also can use the lock button. And this is if you have a student who moves ahead too quickly, you can lock the entire unit. Just like every unit, you also can do this for every activity. So if you want the student to work through the overview, the reading assignment, the conflict, the checkup, but you don't want them to complete the mastery test until you sat down with them and maybe went over their guided notes or study notes, you can just move over to the 3 dots and lock just the test. You also are able to reset an activity. In the Apex courses, you can reset the activity and it's going to keep the scores. In the Plato courses, if you reset an activity, you lose everything. Things that are graded are your quizzes and tests. Those things are graded. If you have an activity such as a unit assignment or practice writing a summary, this is something that is graded by you as the instructor, not the system. In a Plato style course, here you'll notice that the units are broken down in with a number. You can actually see the units a little bit more clearly. So there's a unit for each one of these. And you can also, just like with Apex, you can omit a unit, hide a unit, exempt a unit. Um, the difference here is that there is a pretest. And once the student takes the pretest, it will help them. You're able to find a blue E, and that's going to give them a 100% on that course. When you're looking at a unit, in the unit, there's subtopics. So there's a tutorial and a mastery test. Let's look at the tutorial. Unlike the instructor side of Apex courses, the guided note answers are in a different place, and I want to show you that. Click Learn and Support Courseware. Then you're going to scroll down to Instructor Resources and click National. And then you'll find the topic. So if we're looking for math, we'll click on math. And then we want to find Math 6 Edmentum. And you will here find the guided notes and the answers to the guided notes here. Sometimes there's extra practice assignments or worksheets available. It's really easy to support a student in Edmentum courseware. There are a lot of resources in the Help Center. If you click on this menu, one of the things I want to show is if you click on Course Catalog, if your student is interested in early childhood, you can look up and you'll be able to find that there's an early childhood class. Say you have a student who's preparing for the SATs, that's available. There's sign language. There's so many courses inside of the course catalog. If you're looking for specifically a middle school class, you can put MS, and that'll give all of the Apex middle school classes. And then if you're looking for a Plato class, you start off with typing middle. It will give you all of the middle school Plato courses. These are all of the electives from everything from photography all the way through career exploration. But again, this is just a side tab. If you find that you're working with multiple students, you can create a classroom. If you want to house your students that you're supporting together, different families can become their own classroom. Well, I think that's all for now. You've been so patient. If you come to the end of this video, I hope you found this helpful.